Did you ever wonder what the Tri-Cities would look like without irrigation water? Pretty much this. It's not quite a desert, but it's close. Semi-arid, the meteorologists call it. It's still awfully dry, and it's been that way for hundreds and thousands of years. 200 years ago, the Corps of Discovery, headed by Captains Meriwether Lewis and William Clark, passed through this area on their way to the Pacific Ocean. In October of 1805, Captain Clark wrote in his journal, "There is no timber of any sort, except small willow bushes in sight." Take a look around. Every crop, every tree that's bigger than a willow bush, is here because of irrigation in one form or another. So where does the water come from? Here. What scientists call the hydrologic cycle starts here at the ocean. The sun heats the water, which evaporates and forms clouds. The clouds are carried over land by the prevailing winds. There they condense and fall as rain or snow. Some of the snow stays on the ground until warm weather later in the year causes it to melt. Some soaks into the ground to refresh the pools of groundwater. Some runs into creeks or rivers, and then into lakes or reservoirs. Ultimately, water runs back into a river system and flows back to the ocean, where the cycle begins all over again. Sometimes along the way, water is borrowed and put to work before being released to return to the ocean. Dams are often used to divert water from the course of a river. There are several reasons why. Power generation, where the energy from falling water is used to generate hydroelectricity. Flood control, where pools behind the dams act as buffers against flooding. And irrigation, where backing up extra water during the spring runoff keeps it available to release and use later in the year when the rivers run lower. When Washington wrote its first laws back in the 1880s, legislators knew that some things that the new state would need were too big for people to do by themselves. So they wrote into law the ability of residents to form special districts. By sharing costs and liabilities among those who would benefit, big projects, such as dams and canals and reservoirs for irrigation systems, could be built and benefit all of the residents. In 1902, Congress passed the Reclamation Act. That made it easier for people in rural areas to build and operate irrigation systems. In 1917, residents of what is now the Kennewick Irrigation District voted to organize, but it then took Congress another 40 years to vote to provide the money to build the system. It wasn't until 1959 that water regularly made it all the way down the KID Canal to Kennewick. The Kennewick Irrigation District was designed 90 years ago to bring water to crops. Today, the district waters just over 20,000 acres, but there are only about 500 farms left. Thousands of homes have moved into what was once cropland. As the district continues to evolve, the number of homes will continue to grow, and more people will have to share that stream of water. When the farmers used the land for crops, they knew that they had to move the water around the acreage rather than just turn it on and leave it. That lesson has yet to be learned by many of the homeowners who've taken the farmer's place. Most of the water that comes down the KID canals starts out as snow that falls in the foothills of the Cascade Mountains during the winter. The snow melts and the water runs into reservoirs within the Yakima River Basin, where it waits until it's needed later in the year. The Yakima River Basin system includes Lakes Ketchulus, Cochise, and Cle Elum, and Rimrock and Bumping Lakes. Each year, these reservoirs are refilled several times over by melting snow. The water released runs down the Yakima River to irrigation diversion dams, including the KID's dam at Prosser. From here, water leaves the Yakima River and pours into a canal that runs along the north side of the river down to the Chandler Pump Station, 11 miles downstream. Of the millions of gallons of water taken from the river by the KID every day, just over half powers the water pumps that send the rest under the river and halfway up the side of the Horseheaven Hills. It comes to this point, the head end of the Kennewick Irrigation District's main canal. Dozens of thousands of people share the water that comes through this gate. From here, it's a 42-mile trip to the end of the main canal, but it takes 90 miles of canals, siphons, pumps, and pipes to serve the 55,000-acre district. To look from a distance, the Kennewick Irrigation District's canals appear to be little tiny rivers, but the people that operate the system don't see them that way. To them, the canals are miles and miles of long, narrow ponds, 6 to 10 feet wide, hundreds of feet long, each a few inches lower than the last. In order to keep the water moving, a canal only has to lose an inch of elevation every 500 feet. The KID operates a gravity flow system, meaning that the water moves because the canals slope downhill ever so slightly. The water isn't pumped. While there are pumps from place to place in the system, that's the exception, not the rule. Every spring, the canal is filled with water, one pond at a time. Then a little more than the first pond can hold is poured in, and the water begins to spill from one pond to the next, and through turnout after turnout. Every morning, KID field staff members travel the canal, adjusting turnouts to set water levels to make sure that customers get the amount they need, but not too much. As big as it is, it's a very carefully balanced system. The Kennewick Irrigation District operates under the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation rules and delivers water based on what the Bureau says the land is capable of growing. The Bureau didn't anticipate watering lawns and gardens. The rules require that the district deliver water to the highest point in each 40-acre section within the areas that can support crops.